Hey guys, Zach here. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how to install and set up Anki for medical school. That includes everything you need for step 1 and step 2, which will take you through all 4 years. Let's get into it. One quick thing, if you already have Anki installed, make sure to go to whatever your current Anki account is. So mine looks like this. Go to File, Export, and then you want to export this, including media, somewhere on your desktop. That way, if you're updating and something goes wrong, you won't lose all of your information, like when you need to study certain cards. I'm going to include a link below for how you update your deck, because I'm not really going to walk through that because the AnKing does it so well. I'm going to just walk you guys through installing what you need if you're a new incoming medical student and everything you will need for medical school. So the first thing you need to do, right, is install Anki. So what you want to do is pull up your lovely Google Anki, go to Anki, download, and then I have Mac, so I'll download that. You'll get something that pops up here, and then you go through the basic installation setup. So the first thing you're going to do once you've downloaded Anki is you'll get kind of an empty window. I'm going to create a new profile so you guys see what it is like when you install it completely from scratch. So I'm going to go to, let's see, I'm going to go to add, I'm going to have a profile, new medical school student. Okay. And then you'll hit that, open that up, and you'll see there's nothing here. So the first thing I want to do is put in my settings that I have figured out over the past year by watching numerous videos by the AnKing. Again, you guys, if you haven't already, you should check him out. So you have this basic deck. There's nothing in it. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go to preferences. We're gonna go to our preferences and start changing some things around. So the first thing I like to do is turn it to night mode. It just looks nicer. And every time you make a big change on Anki, you need to restart it. So I'm gonna exit. Thank you, it told me. Exit it out. Reopen Anki. New medical school student. And now we're in this nice dark mode. So then we're gonna go back to preferences. And I keep all these the same, show play buttons on cards with audio, interrupt current cards, blah, 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 blah. The next thing I wanna do is go to scheduling. Show next review time of answer buttons, that's fine, I'll click that. That basically says if you hit whichever number you hit, you'll know how much time is to the next card. Show remaining card count during review. I don't like to hit that because what I found recently is that I keep staring at the review count because I've got around 600 or 700 and it kind of is the only thing I focus on. So recently I've just been getting rid of that and it helps me because I just focus on studying for a certain amount of time as opposed to getting through a certain amount of cards, which I think is a better way to do it. So I have that unchecked. I have Anki 2.1 scheduler beta checked. We're gonna go over that later. I have show new cards after reviews. I do this because I wanna do all my reviews first and then learn the new content. And then I have next day starts at 4 a.m., 4 hours past midnight. I don't want to, because I'm usually asleep by then. If you find yourself working until 4 a.m. in the morning, you might want to set this till 5 or 6 or whenever you're asleep because that's when the Anki cards reset for the next day. Learn ahead limit, this is normally set at 20 minutes, but I like to set it at 0 minutes because if your learn ahead limit is set at 20 minutes, it means that you can learn cards ahead of when Anki would normally schedule them for you. So I don't like to mess with the Anki algorithm at all. I like to keep the Anki algorithm basically the same at all times and not mess with it as much as possible. That way I put this at 0. Network, I'm synchronizing always. You want to sync it with kind of whatever your Anki account is. This way you can go across your phone, iPad, all this kind of stuff. Backups doesn't really matter. I just keep that at 50. Make sure it's more than 1. Reset learning card. You have no cards in the deck. You should have no cards in the deck, so I would keep it at this. But if you did have cards in your deck, again, I'm not doing that kind of tutorial. But if you did have cards in your deck, you wouldn't want to look at the AnKing video as what to do at this point. Exit. Then I will go to the most important settings. The most important settings are what your actual decks are going to be. So you hit this cogwheel on the side, go to options, and I like to set it to 3:15. And all this means is your review time will be different than 1:10. It's 3 minutes and then 15 minutes. I like to show my new cards in a random order. I want to minimize the amount of memorization as much as possible. And you'll see that with some of the settings I do, because it's really easy to fall into the trap with memorization with Anki. You want to use your understanding and be understanding as much as possible. So new cards per day, I set this to 100. I know some people that go 100, 200, but really I think 50 to 100 is kind of a sweet spot, because if you're doing 100 new cards every day, over time it adds up and you're doing a lot of cards. So try and keep it at about 100 a day, I would say. 1-4, I don't change this. Starting ease, I don't change this. Bury related cards until the next day. I check this because say there's a card that's 2 plus blank equals 4. There'll be another card that says 2 plus 2 equals blank. So if I see both those cards in the same day, I'll kind of have that memorized. So I'll know, oh, I saw this before, 2 plus blank equals 4, and I'll fill in the 2, maybe I'll have to understand that. But the next one, which is 2 plus 2 equals blank, I'll kind of remember seeing it from the card that I just did, right? So maybe I'll remember the answer is 4 because I just saw the card instead of being able to work out, oh, what's 2 plus 2 in my head, which is really, I think it's like 5, I think. We're gonna cut. The joke was so bad it nearly killed me. Keep this check mark because that way, again, we want to move towards understanding as opposed to memorization. So then I'm going to go to reviews. You want to set reviews to 9999 because, again, we don't want to mess with the algorithm at all. And if we have a lot of reviews, you'll never get to 9,999, or you shouldn't. But you want to do all the reviews that Anki wants you to do that day. That way, you're maximizing kind of your memory of whatever topic you're learning. Ease bonus 130, interval modifier 100. You can watch some Anki tutorial videos that edit this a little bit, but I don't really touch it. Interval modifier won't change. Maximum interval, I like to change that to whatever 7 months is, which is 7 times 30, so 210 days, because if it's 36,500 days and you have it at 2,000 days, you're not going to see that card for like 4 or 5 years. So you don't want that, especially if you want to prepare for the card when you're taking your step exam or something like that. So I like to set it at 7 months as a max. That way I know that I'll see the card within that 7 months. So if you're taking your big exam within a certain amount of time, like within 3 months, and the card's due in 7 months, you'll never see that card again before the exam is due. So you want to kind of monitor this. But again, you don't want to set it too low. So once you start getting under 5 months and you're accumulating a lot of cards, the amount of reviews you do every day is just gonna get way too high. You'll be at like maybe 1,000 reviews every day. So you wanna set your maximum interval, I'd say anywhere between 7 and 9 months. Maybe that's what's worked best for me. Hard interval, 120%. And again, we're gonna bury related reviews until the next day as well, because it's that same idea. We don't wanna be memorizing what we see on the screen. We wanna be understanding the topic and applying that to the flashcards. Lapses, I just set it back to 0%. Some people like to set this a little higher. So what this means is whenever you get a card wrong, it'll reset the card. So you'll go back to 1 day, 3 days, 5 days. I like this because I feel like when I'm getting a card wrong, it's not like, oh, I messed up that day. It's like I didn't actually understand that information. So I want to make sure that I'm re-teaching myself that information when I get it wrong. Again, some people disagree with this. This is just what I do. Leech action. So once you get a card wrong a certain amount of times, it's 8. We want to tag the card. We don't want to suspend it, because if we're getting something wrong a lot, we want to make sure we're focusing on that card as opposed to suspending it. We want to focus on our weaknesses. Okay, general, don't touch this. Description, don't do this. Cool. Now we have our settings. So now we're going to do is we're going to download the monster of the deck, the best deck from the AnKing, which is this amazing deck. So you're going to go to Google. You're going to Google medical school Anki. The first thing that should come up is this medical school Anki thing. Yeah, so on the right, you will see this, the AnKing. Click that, best deck, everything. So what the AnKing is there was this guy named Zonky who made an amazing deck based off all the topics in first aid, and then people over time have added to it. You probably should and can read all this information about this deck, but really I think all you need to do is scroll all the way down here. Thanks to these guys, because they really did a lot of work. I'm just kind of using it and taking the information, but it's so good. This stuff is so good. So good. Okay, so you scroll down here and you want to find the blue skies comment, and you'll see AnKing step 1, V7.2 and V2. It's 7.3 now. You'll click this. A mega window will come up. I've already downloaded it. As you can see here, downloaded, it pops up right here. And then once it's downloaded, all you do, really easy, just click it. Just click it, and it's gonna import all these files into your Anki directly. So I'll show you what the screen at the end looks like, but it should look like a certain thing. There's a ton of cards you import here, but it's really nice while this is loading, I'll talk, because it has Step 1, everything you'll need. Step 2, everything you'll need. And it's also tagged really nicely to the videos, which is really the power of the AnKing. So we're done. So this should be your end screen. You should see notes found in file 34531, added from file 34531. And again, this is if you're doing completely new install, never worked with Anki again. Ignore that, I don't know what's going on there. We have all these new decks with all these new things, and we won't be doing all this. So what we're gonna do first to just calm ourselves down is hit the minimize there. Next, we're gonna go to browse. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Let's go to browse. Again, minimize the AnKing. And you see all these things on the side. This is really not the way you want to do it. This is not pretty. It's not easy to access. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna download a couple add-ons that make this all prettier. So I have a bunch of add-ons, but all you do to download an add-on is you go to Tools, Add-ons, and then you can see I have a bunch, but you won't have anything in there. So what you wanna do is you wanna go to Get Add-ons at the top right here, click this, and you'll see you need to type in a code right here. So Google Chrome, and you go to Anki add-ons. Anki add-ons, and you'll see this big list of all these add-ons here. And what I'm gonna tell you are kind of the 6 add-ons that I think are essential and make Anki better, really. So the add-ons I use, I'm gonna go to my tools just so I can remember them. I use all these, but the ones that I think you need as a basic thing, you want special fields. So what you'll do is you go Command F, special fields, click it, scroll down until you see this number, Command C, go back to this, get add-ons, Command V, and then hit OK, and it will install. But I don't need to do that because I already have them. I just disabled them all so you can see. So I'm just gonna, we want special fields, toggle enabled. We want customize sidebar, enabled. We want image occlusion enhanced, enabled. We want review heat map, enabled. We want true retention, enabled. And finally, the most important one, hierarchical tags, enabled. Now, a bunch of these I'll show you later that I really like, but those are the basic 6 I think that are most important. So you'll hit exit, and in order for add-ons to go into action, you need to exit out of Anki, and then you want to reopen Anki. So you go to new medical student, open. And again, it looks similar, but what you'll notice when you go to browse, it's so much prettier. It's so much nicer, and this is really the power of the Anki. So now what you'll see is you have the Anki step 1 and Anki step 2, but all these cards are unsuspended, and we haven't studied anything, right? We're new medical students, so we want to do Command A, which selects every card in the deck, Command J, which will suspend every card in the deck. And all suspending means is that you've basically disabled this card until you re-enable it. So now I'm gonna go to V2, I'm gonna hit Command A, Command J, and that disabled all the cards for step 2. And you'll exit out of this and you'll see, oh, I only have 1 card, and that's the Anki special. That's this card, and you can just delete this deck. Okay, great, cool. So we've downloaded the Anki, we've downloaded every piece of information we ever need. One quick thing here is that in all of these cards, they have pictures from First Aid, Pathoma, and Boards and Beyond. You want to make sure, or technically you should own those products if you have this deck installed, because it uses those pictures. Just a quick little disclaimer. Okay dokie, let's keep going here. We're nearly done. So the next thing I want to do is I want to make 2 new decks, and I'll tell you why I make these 2 decks. So we're going to go to create deck, and we're going to name it one is incorrects. And we're gonna make another deck, and we're gonna call that lecture specific. So what are these 2 decks? The incorrect deck is whenever I take a practice test or do online questions relevant to step 1, and I get that question wrong. I got that question wrong for a reason, and I wanna remember why I got it wrong. So first I'll understand the question, and then I'll make a new flashcard that is based off that question. So if I go into my incorrects deck, say I couldn't do 2 + 2 = 4. Let's make this bigger again. So also, whenever you make a new deck, you want to make sure, or a new card, you want to make sure you go to Cloze AnKing Master, because that allows you to do a lot more with when you're creating your cards. So I do 2 + 2 = 4. And then one of the best ways to create cards is first, I'm going to link to videos how to make cards and stuff like that, because other people, again, explain it better than me. But really, you want to make it simple, and you want to make it testing yourself in multiple areas. So what do I mean by that? So for example, on this card, I'm gonna test myself by blanking out this part and by blanking out this part. So one card will say 2 plus blank equals 4, and then another card will say 2 plus 2 equals blank. This way I'm testing myself in both areas, and then I can type here, how do you not know math, you stupid Dumbo? And then I'll add that, and those will be 2 cards in my incorrects deck. So as you can see, I'll go here, this is what shows up, 2 plus blank equals 4, I'll be like, 2, I think I got that one. And then you'll see here, this is kind of telling you more information. And what Anki does, which I'll show you an example card that doesn't have first aid information. Let's just go to step 1. So we'll go to a random card here. You can see a defect in the left right hind, but they've included really nice notes here. Down here, there's all these pictures from the external resources, which are really nice because they help kind of illustrate the whole topic and help you learn and understand more than just memorizing, which is, again, really, really important. But cool. Okay, so we have our tags organized, we have everything suspended that we don't need, and we have our new decks. Oh, lecture specific. So lecture specific, well, all that is whenever you learn something specific to your school, maybe that's not relevant as much for your final testing. So maybe that's anatomy or certain clinical skills that you need to memorize. I like to add this to lecture specific deck. That way I know to study that content before my test. And what I'll do is after I do my test, I'll go back to lecture specific deck, browse it, and there's no cards in it right now, but I'll hit Command A, Command J to suspend all those cards because I won't be needing them again. So that's just why I have the 2 decks. And what I also like to do is when I'm making this, I like to put them under the AnKing deck. That way when I'm studying in the morning, all I have to do is hit the AnKing and then start doing my reviews. And that's it. Okay, great. So we have our 2 new decks, we have AnKing downloaded, and we have our settings. Well, that's really all you need. But what I'm going to show you now is how to actually use this deck in a daily workflow and how you get the most out of Anki. So let's say the first thing you want to learn about is some pathology, and that some pathology is maybe the basics of pathology, which Pathoma is amazing. Definitely if you're learning about pathology, get Pathoma. Everyone recommends it. It's amazing. So let's say I watch a video, and I'm not going to go to that video, but I do have a pathology account, but I'm not going to go to it because obviously it's, again, copyright. But you go to Pathoma, not Patholoma, and you go to your first video. I don't know what your first video would be, but so, okay, let's see. So you see your first video, which is Growth Adaptations, Chapter 1. This is on their free trial account, so I think that's okay to show. You'll watch that video, and then you go to Anki Step 1 tag on the left here. You'll find Pathoma right here. Find Growth Adaptations here. Click this, hit Command A, Command J, and bam, all those cards are unsuspended and they're ready for you to study. What I like to do though, before I start studying it, is I like to scroll through all the cards and make sure I understand the question and the answer and the content below it. I can't show that content again because it is copyrighted, but it really helps with the understanding. Again, what you should be doing when you're going through these cards is something called the Feynman technique, which I think most people know about it, but every time you answer a question, try and think like, especially if it's kind of iffy on the understanding, try and imagine you have to explain this answer to a friend. And if you have to explain this answer or question to a friend, it will help you kind of understand the topic more and will test you really to see if you understand it. So if I looked at this question and said, is dysplasia reversible or irreversible? And the answer is reversible. Now I would want to say, why is dysplasia reversible? I'd think, okay, I know neoplasia is cancer. And one of the defining factors of cancer, which is neoplasia, is that it's not reversible. So dysplasia is kind of a precursor to neoplasia sometimes, but it may not be it. So I think I could explain that to my friend pretty decently. Also, maybe you might want to extrapolate and connect cards, which is a really good thing to do in your head. And you might say, okay, what is one of the signs of reversible kind of injury to a cell? What is a reversible injury to a cell? And I know I'm thinking that swelling, when a cell swells, is one of the hallmarks of kind of a cell having reversible injury. And I can go one step further. And once you keep doing this, you can connect and keep connecting and keep connecting the cards. And it's really helpful to kind of build one model in your head, because obviously your head isn't a bunch of flashcards, it's one fluid thing. And this way you can kind of connect topics and really start to understand medicine, which is the whole point of medical school, right? To understand medicine and help people. Okay, so now we've unsuspended. We'll go to this and we'll study our cards. We'll hit space, 2 plus blank equals 4, 2. Good job. Nice. Okay, So what my workflow looks like every morning, I'm just gonna go to my deck so you kind of know what it looks like. So I'm gonna go to File, Switch Profile, Medical School Zach, Open. And again, here it's cool, but I'm also gonna show you the other add-ons that I use normally. So I'm gonna go to here, Advanced Browser, toggle enabled. Amboss is amazing. I love it. Toggle enabled. Then I'm going to do symbols as you type, symbols, not progress bar, not load balancer, because load balancer messes with the algorithm, and I don't want to touch that algorithm at all. Edit field during close, I like that. Custom background image, I like that. Clickable tags, I like that. Button color is good again, I like that. So what I'll do is I will toggle enabled, exit, open up Anki again, Medical School Zach, and bam, you see I have my nice little background. I can link you guys to videos which allows you to do this, but I just like to make mine look a little bit prettier, because you will be I look at this probably 3 to 5 hours a day every morning. So I've already done my reviews for the day, thank God. As you can see, I studied 628 cards in 1.3 hours at a rate of 7.46 seconds a card. So what I would normally do is I just click this, study, and start doing my reviews until I finish all my reviews. And then once I finish my reviews, I'd think, what do I need to learn about today? Oh, maybe I need to learn about Staph aureus, the bacteria. So I'd go to browse. Mine's a little more messy on the side here, but I'd go to browse, go to step 1, sketchy micro, bacteria, gram-positive cocci, Staph aureus. And I've already done this, but I'd hit Command A, Command J to unsuspend all these cards so I can go through them. And then they'd be new cards here, and I'd learn them. But yeah, that's really my workflow. Again, just to reiterate, every morning I'll wake up, do all my reviews. Then I'll watch a video on whatever content I want to learn and make sure I really understand that information. Then I'll find those cards related to that information on Anki, unsuspend those cards, and go through the cards in the browser section and read the cards to make sure I understand them before I test myself on them. And then what I'll do is I'll test myself on them with Anki, and then make sure basically that I know them, and then I'm done. So I'm gonna end with a quote, because I can't be a YouTuber without ending with a quote, right? So this quote is from Gretchen Rubin: "What you do every day matters more than what you do once in a while." And I completely agree with her, and that's why I do my Anki reviews first thing in the morning, and it's what I do every day, no matter what. I have to get my reviews done because that's what the Anki algorithm is built for. It's built for you doing it every single day. That way you're retaining that information. Also, over time, those cards will start to go down, you'll get in a habit, and you'll find yourself just knowing this information in random places, and you'll feel pretty good. But if you made it through, thank you for watching. You've gotten everything you need for medical school in regards to Anki. Step 1 information, Step 2 information, and you have the base here as well to edit and adjust as much as you need. Also, there will be updates probably from the AnKing come on, and you can just install those much more easily now that you have this base built in. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.